Hello children, welcome to the second video of the outcome of democracy. Children, last 73 years means after independence, we are seeing the function of democratic government and its various institutions in our country. Children, India is the second largest country in the term of population. So naturally question arise, what does democracy do or what outcome can we reasonably expect of democracy? Means what are our expectations? Also, does democracy fulfill these expectations in real life? And we begin by thinking about how to assess the outcome of democracy. So children, we can assess it through the economic growth and development, where our country stand in the term of economic growth with non-democratic country. Let's see our economic growth and development. Children, everyone in the country wanted that our country should be developed and prosperous in all respects. In this, we will see the economic growth and development, and then we will compare our economic development with democratic regimes and with non-democratic or dictatorial regimes. Children, actually in democratic country, we all expect to produce good government and expect for good development. And if you see the evidences, what the evidences shows that economic growth and development in all democracies and in all dictatorships, if we compare it, we will see that last 50 years from 1950 to 2000 shows dictatorship have slightly higher rate of economic growth, like if you take example of countries North Korea, Saudi Arabia. So naturally the incompetent of democracy to achieve higher economic growth worries us, but still seeing the merit, the feature of democracy, we all did not want dictatorship in our country. Moreover, the differences in the rates of economic development between less developed country with dictatorship and democracy is negligible, means there is no differences, mean development differences is not too much. Children, in real sense, economic development depends on several factors. First factor, if you see, country's population size. As you know, India is the second largest country in the world in the term of population. Children, so large in size of population cannot produce anything unless until our people, means our population, becomes skilled and educated. If you see second point, global situation. As far we concern with global situation, it is favorable to our country due to the country's location in southern Eastern Asia. It helps our country to connect with the most of all the southern located countries for trade and commerce. If you see third point, cooperation from other countries. Our country's relation with all other countries, means neighbor countries, our relation are cordial. So our country is prospering also. If you see, our relation with neighbor countries are cordial and good. If you see fourth point, economic priorities adopted by the country like Make in India, Made in India, and making special economic zones, means special economic zones refers where the entrepreneur can set up their industries for the production. These all are the indicators of economic growth. Through table, children, the economic growth of country will be clear to you. This table shows that on an average, dictatorial regimes have had a slightly better record of economic growth. Children, when we compare the record, means economic growth record, only in poor countries, there is nearly no difference. In table, all democratic regimes growth 3.95. Again repeating, you can see in table. In table, all democratic regimes growth is 3.95, and in dictatorial regimes 4.42 in 1950 to 2000, means slight difference is there with democratic country. So children, overall we cannot say that democracy is a guarantee of economic development, but we can expect democracy not to lag behind dictatorships in this respect. So it is better to prefer democracy as it has several other positive factors. Children, through this table, you can see that in democracies there is very high degree of inequalities. Children, see the table carefully, that in democratic countries like South Africa and Brazil, the top 20% people take away more than 60% of national income. Like you heard about in India, Ambani, Birla, and leaving less than 3% for bottom 20% population who are poor because they are poor children. But countries like Denmark and Hungary, if you see in this data or table, the countries like Denmark and Hungary are much better in this matter of inequalities. Means democracy does not promise that all will become equal or all will be treated equalities. In wealth wise also, children, if you see in the cartoon or this cartoon, then everything will be clear to you about economic growth and income distribution gain in 2000 to 2006. You all will be surprised to see the great disparities, means differences between rich and poor. The top part represent rich country like USA, Britain. You can see flag color in the form of cap, and middle part represent developing countries, and lower part children represent poor countries, underdeveloped countries, especially about African countries. So children, it is clear that in democracy the economic growth accompanied by increased inequalities among the people, and day by day, if you know, if you have noticed or if you see, year by year, day by day, gap between rich and poor get widened, and it is clear that democracy does not appears to be successful in reducing economic inequalities. You can see first point, a small number of ultra rich enjoy a highly disproportionate shares of wealth and income, as like in South Africa, Brazil, Russia, and thus their share in the total income of the countries is increasing. If you see third point, people who are at the bottom of the society have very little to depend upon their income, which means their income have been declining, means their income is not too much. Sometimes they find it difficult to meet their basic needs or things of life, such as you can say roti kapda or makan, or food, clothing, shelter, and two more things you can add in a modern era: education and health. If you see in this image is the voice of the poor, means in real life democracy do not appears to be very successful in reducing economic inequalities and poverty. Still poverty is prevailing in our country. You have noticed also the poor made a large proportion of our voters, and no party in our country will like to lose their vote, and they are badly exploited and cheated by the politicians, because you know, because they are poor and they are living in the poverty. But you will be surprised to know that the situation is much worse in some other countries, like in Bangladesh. This pic is of Bangladesh only. More than half of its population live in poverty. Thus people in several poor countries are now dependent on rich countries even for food supplies and for medicine. So children, this is all about outcome of democracy. I do hope you all have understood about the economic growth and development of democratic and non-democratic country. And children, you all try to assess democratic countries' growth with non-democratic countries. Take it as a homework. Do survey. Go through magazines. Go through Google and search it out and compare it. So till next video, take care, be safe and be happy.